residents of Shawnee, residents of the lake, and lake pass holders. That is the missing hole in government. While I do not think 3 months is an adequate time for an endeavor of this scope, it is my hope that you approve the Lake Advisory Committee and that you include persons with knowledge about the lake, to include residents and lake patrol. Thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you very much. All right, next up is Rob Morris. So, Mr. Morris, if you come forward. How are you doing this evening?
Pretty good. Excuse me. So for tonight, I have two things. One is the lake. Looking forward to this lake committee to get started. I actually, since I think that the ward commissioner and maybe Frank Sims, since he was on the one before, probably already picked for it. I'd like to be the first person to apply, since nobody else could be, since it hadn't even been created yet. So I brought my application for that tonight. Also, as far as the kayak dock goes, confirmed with the county commissioners last Monday, the State Wildlife and Conservation will move the kayak dock free of charge to the city of Shawnee. Sounds like we can move the kayak dock and won't cost us a penny. Seems pretty simple to me. Found that out, like I said, last Monday. Next up, we have a business out there that apparently has electricity at the lake too now, which I thought was weird. I didn't know we could get electricity in a public space that we pay for privately. The physical address, 33400 Belcher Road, which is the address of the kayak dock. So saying that a business is not operating out there doesn't work anymore. The actual address of the business is our lake. And it specifically says in city code that can't happen. Lastly, and most important for tonight, and I hate to say because I don't want to talk about this, Ron Arthur, Assistant Athletic Director for Shawnee Schools. How long has this been happening? I've had my friends message me. My child has known since middle school that if he talked to them, the only thing they were allowed to say was, my parents said I'm not allowed to speak to you, and immediately call me. Another one. Well, it's been going on a while. Alleged Craigslist hookups in 2006 to the school board, knowing and suspending him for 5 days, and he had to read a book. All right, this is our children. And yeah, this has to do with the school board. However, I know for a fact already that people have told DAs not to go after this guy in the past because of athletic reasons. That don't fly. The children are the future. Without them, there isn't one. So we have to take care of them. And I shouldn't get my friends telling me that they've known about this for a long time and not the city or the school board has done anything about it. It's unacceptable. Not saying this to the commission, and under no threat of physical altercation, I will look for these people. I will find these people, and I will out every single one of you in a public forum. We will protect the children of this town. Thank you.
Gerald Nowlin, I'm sorry if I've said that wrong. Nowlin, thank you, sir.
Yes.
You can pull that mic, if you would, pull the mic down, so there you go. That'll help.
No, we have been wondering about the comprehensive plan of the lake for several years now. That hasn't really been, we don't know of anything that's been done about the plan. Now, one we just got up earlier and was talking about that. But anyway, if we could have that in a little bit more detail, well, I'd sure appreciate it, about the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All righty, next up is Darren Lofton.
How you guys doing? You know, I'm not a public speaker, so this is not easy, and brought some of my employees with me tonight, and they would like to speak also. They're also not public speakers. We're just blue-collar workers. Mm-hmm. We work a living just like you guys do, most of you. I have a shop over here I'd like to expand. I hire, right now we have 17 employees at KSNL Aero. They make, on the bottom pay scale is 23, top is 35. I have two gentlemen making 35, one making 30, another making 28 who's here tonight. We pay good wages. We give Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance for free. We give 3 weeks vacation after 3 years. We get 5 days sick leave, 7 paid holidays per year. We're a legit company. We have another company at the airport, Pacific Air Holdings. We have 13 Cessna Caravan, valued at over 1.4 million each. So I'm not just another, come by night company that comes through here and has dreams of wanting to expand. We have actual people here in Shawnee with jobs. And I felt a little insulted by the last committee meeting, to be honest, because we were turned down without an opportunity to speak, without an opportunity to give our side of the story. It said that we have a litigation against the city of Shawnee. We tried every way possible to avoid that litigation, but your attorney was in the back of the courtroom and stood up and said, no, the city of Shawnee will intervene, even after the judge had said the city doesn't need to be in this. All we want to know is, can we have access to the north door of our hangar that cost me over $100,000 to build? That's all we want to know. We asked the airport manager for this, and she took a red crayon and circled the building and said, there you go. That's where your competitors' boundaries are. We just want the judge or the city or somebody. We're not even suing for money. We just want the judge or the city council or someone to say to our competitor, you cannot block the north entrance of this gentleman's business. That's it. We're not asking for money from the city. We're not asking for the court, for the city attorney to get involved and cost the taxpayers money. You guys could probably make this decision tonight. I had a lease, signed lease, an agreement with you guys well before my competitor was in that spot. You guys are business owners. What if you went to your business tomorrow and someone had blocked one of your entrances? You go to the people who are in control of that area and they laugh at you. They tell you, well, you got another door. I don't know what you're complaining about. You go to the manager of the area where your business is located and they laugh and they think it's funny. Of course I had to call my attorney, and I'm not even suing for money. We're just asking that someone would make the decision. I've got a 40-year lease with my business with the city of Shawnee. We built the hangar. We pay for the dirt underneath it, $750 a month. We're not like some of the other freeloaders out at the airport right now. We pay money to the city of Shawnee, and we hire people. We hire good people. I'd like you to hear from them and maybe reconsider the rejection of our proposal that you guys rejected last meeting.
Mr. Lofton, your time is up,
Thank you.
but thank you very much.
All right.
No problem. All right. Next up is Adam Smith. How are you, sir?
All right, how are y'all?
Doing great.
Yeah, I worked at Tinker for 6 years, and then I left there to come work for KSNL. As soon as word got out that I left Tinker, people were hitting me up, texting me, trying to get in touch with me to asking me to help them get a job at KSNL. Just yesterday, I went to O'Reilly's, and I ran into another guy who was asking about KSNL. And then went to Lowe's after that, and there was another guy there that was asking about KSNL, and he had heard about the plans to expand and stuff, and was really looking forward to that and trying to get a job out there. I really think what Darren's trying to do is a great thing. It would bring lots of great jobs to Shawnee.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Next up is Taylor Grammer. Is that right? Yes, sir. Come on up, Taylor. How are you doing? Doing well. Doing great.
Man, I'd just like to reiterate what Mr. Lofton and what Mr. Smith are saying. There's tons of jobs that could be had here in Shawnee. A lot of people think Tinker's the only option when they go to this aviation school. It's either going to be smart aviation, Tinker, and there's a whole lot more options out there if we can build a KSNL Aero. Y'all talk about community a lot here. It'd be nice to keep these jobs inside this community. If we can have 100 people hired here, instead of farming off 100 people off to Tinker, spending their money in Midwest City, they could bring their families here. They could live in this community, buy houses, and up the economy of this city. That's about all I have to say right now.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming to talk to us tonight. Appreciate it. Next up is Jay Terry. How are you, sir?
Great. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Gentlemen, ladies. Well, I have three simple things, and it's, nothing big. One of them is that I thought I heard somewhere that the city paid a consulting fee to do a study at Shawnee Lake. And I was wondering if that's true. If it is, where can you get that report? The other two things are pretty simple also. One of them's about the lake buoys. I was told a few months ago that we had buoys. They're just waiting to put them out. Well, they're still waiting. I've talked to city employees in the past couple of days out there, and they said they're still waiting for the order to put out the buoys. There's buoys out there that's just barely below the water that's very liable to somebody that hit them. Right at the end of Lake Road by the swim beach, if you look out about 100 yards, you'll see a buoy. That's a 4-foot buoy that's only sticking out of the water about 6 inches. And the other thing's about the gravel and the roads. We all want our roads graveled and graded. That's it. Have a nice day, and I hope we get something done about this lake
you.
situation. I know
Thank
a lot
you
of
so
people
much.
are. Go ahead.
No, I'm not trying to cut you off. You talk more. I was just telling you thank you.
Okay. Well, that's all. I'd like to get the buoys out there. The summer's almost gone. It should have been done a long time ago.
right.
And so have a good day.
John, thank you very much. Okay. I don't see anybody else. Do we have anybody at the last minute? Nope. Okay, very good. Item 2 is consider approval of consent agenda.
I'd like to pull item 2A, please.
2A. All righty. Anybody got anything else you want to pull, or anyone like to make a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda with item 2A pulled.
Second.
I think Darren was first.
Okay.
All righty, we have a motion and a second to approve everything but item A and 2, the consent agenda then. So we'll call the question. And that motion passes 7-0. So now we will need to deal with 2A.
I was simply, my family was out of town, so I just wanted to be able to abstain from the
Right.
vote.
All righty. Anyone like to make a motion on 2A?
Move to approve 2A.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Ford and Seahorn. All righty, so we have a motion to approve item 2A, and we'll call the question. And that passes 6-4 and 1 abstention. All righty. Item 3 is presentation by Animal Control to present Pet of the Week. Have we got an animal out there? Yep, Chief says we do. Oh, we got a little bitty one tonight. Not the pig. When is the pig coming? We want the pig.
Hello.
How are you guys?
Great. I'm Brandy. I'm from Animal Welfare. This is Justin. And we have brought Arwen with us tonight. She is about 8 weeks old. She has come to us from Chick-fil-A. Her whole litter was out there. So we've caught a few of them. Not sure what happened with the rest. Could not locate any others that they said they had found. But so she is the last one left of the litter, but she is extremely sweet. To adopt her would be a $25 spay deposit and a $5 adoption fee, as well as a $10 city tag. And you would need to prepay for a rabies vaccination to adopt her. Since the last commission meeting, we have adopted out 18 animals and 4 reclaims. And we currently have 23 dogs, 3 cats, and a pig. we do not have any events currently in place yet. The Cops and Kids was canceled or postponed recently, so we don't have any as of yet. Not quite sure what's on the agenda or what we can safely do as of right now. So we're kind of putting that on a hold for just the moment.
Well, next time you guys need to at least bring us a picture of the pig.
I promise next time I will.
All right, very good. Thank you guys
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Thank you.
All righty, next we have a fun item. We got item 4, which is introduction of the Shawnee 2021 student-teacher delegation for exchange trip to Nicaho. And so Alicia Whiteman, are you here? I didn't see you. No? So are you guys? There you go. Come on up, Karen. Why don't you come up and bring all the kids up and introduce them? Or anybody that's involved in that group. We'd love to meet them. You guys come up and spread out. Come spread out. We won't be able to see you.
This is this year's delegation.
There you go. If you use the microphone, if you would, please. There you go.
Yes, this is this year's delegation to Nicaho. We have 8 students and 1 teacher. I will let them give you their names.
Okay, very good.
Take it away, Braden.
Come on up. Don't be shy.
I'm Braden Hibbler.
Say that again,
Yeah.
young man. I'm sorry, you really fast.
Yeah,
Tell what school you're with. I'm Braden Hibbler from Grove Wildcats.
there you go.
I'm CJ Stevens from Grove Wildcats.
I'm Alexander Monhay from Grove.
I'm Zachary Knowles from Shawnee Middle School.
Hey, then, Zachary.
Oops. Norma Neely, and I'm currently teaching 3rd grade at Horace Mann. And let me just say that these wonderful students and I are absolutely honored to be representing Shawnee with our sister city.
Very good.
I'm Hadley Dyer from Grove.
I'm Kira Jones from Grove.
I'm Elizabeth Jones from Grove.
Hey, I'm Kelly Templeton from Shawnee Middle School.
Very good. So maybe could you update us on what's going on? Come right over to the microphone if you would, please. I'm sorry. But are they going like next year, or what's the plan? Do we know? I mean, I know they're not getting to go this summer.
No, they're not going
No.
to get to go this year. So we're hoping to be able to go next year.
Right.
And we will combine the 2 groups,
Right.
the 2022 and the 2021 will go.
Yeah, I hope that works out. I think
Yeah,
we're
I
all
do too.
tired of this situation, aren't we? So congratulations to all of you on being chosen. I know that's a great honor and it's very competitive. And being chosen is a big deal. It really is. And we appreciate you guys coming out tonight. We like to get to meet you. And, I hope things work out so you get to go. But I really appreciate it. And Susie, do you want to get them a turn for, I know she's going to probably ask you to turn around. So Susie will get a picture for the countywide. And you got no hiding in the back now. You got to get up front there. There you go. And you got to smile. So this is a big deal. Congratulations to you guys. We appreciate you guys.
Can I sit down there?
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to say to you all, I've been twice to Nicaho, once as when I was state representative and once as a Shawnee City Commissioner. It's a wonderful opportunity. I appreciate the city for continued support of this. It's a great program, and you all are honored to have been selected and hope that next year works out.
Yeah, very good. Thank you guys so much. We'll let them clear out here just a second. All righty, very cool deal. Okay, item 5 is discussion and consideration of AWM Real Estate LLC's appeal of an administrative order regarding demolition of the structure located at 800 South Beard, deferred from July 19, 2021 City Commission meeting. So with that, I will call Mr. Vondran, our city attorney, for a staff report. I don't know what we said. We lost half our crowd.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, appreciate time this evening. I do not see anyone present on behalf of AWM at this point in time. Just by way of brief background, to remind the commission, I was contacted by council when this last appeared on the agenda, and then the individual representing the company appeared with regard to a request for extension of time in order to either obtain their own permit to demolish this property or to pull a permit to conduct necessary repairs to bring it into code. To date, there has been no improvements made to the property, nor to my knowledge, and Kevin, you can confirm this, any permits have been pulled?
They poured one on 6/28 before our commission meeting, but they have not done any work to it.
Okay.
And we didn't approve the permit because we were waiting to see where we were directed.
So at this time, Commission, it would be staff's recommendation that we go ahead and deny the appeal based upon inaction, since there is no one here present to contest that.
Okay.
Be happy to answer any questions.
So any questions for Joe?
What was the permit that they attempted to pull?
They applied for a demo permit. They applied for a demo permit and put in it that they wanted to demo the property or repair it. And I provided you guys with pictures where they didn't replace the grates, they put plywood over it.
Right.
Nobody's there to man it, so if someone moves that, we still have the hazard of someone falling in.
Absolutely.
So.
Did you have a question, Mark?
I was just talking about the pallets over the.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Anybody else got questions?
How deep are those pits?
They're 2 to 3 feet deep. There was one on the news just recently. A gentleman pulled into a car wash just like that on a motorcycle, parked on that and fell in one and got hurt. So we have situations like that, or kids could get down in there and there's enough water in there you can drown.
Got anything else?
Same people own the one over on Harrison?
Yeah, the one that they've converted into a storage facility in the back. And that's what they talked about doing to this one.
But we've not heard anything since the last meeting. I remember they came up and spoke and then they left and you guys had
They have not
had talked,
contacted
but-
me at all.
And Mr. Mayor, I've not had any communication either with them or with council that initially reached out.
Okay.
What staff's recommended
Our staff recommendation is to demo the property.
Right.
And that administrative order has been entered. That's the administrative order that has been appealed. And
Mhm.
so tonight, it's the request that the appeal be denied and the administrative order upheld.
Any other questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll move to accept staff's recommendation.
I'll second.
And that was Matthews. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation on item 5. With that, we will call the question. And motion passes 7-0. Alrighty, item 6, discussion and consideration of resolution to amend the agreement establishing Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, Omag, to continue in perpetuity. And so Casey, okay, yep, there she is.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all doing?
Doing good.
Good. Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group provides the city's liability and property insurance. The Omag Board of Trustees has asked the City of Shawnee to approve a resolution amending the agreement establishing Omag. This agreement became effective June 1st, 1977 for a term of 50 years. By approving this resolution, the city is agreeing to extend the life of Omag indefinitely.
Okay. But I would assume, like, if we became dissatisfied with them and some reason, we could always take action to do something else, but that's more of a...
That's accurate.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's forever.
Correct, but as an assurance group or a membership organization, they would need that consent from its members in order to make that corporate bylaw change.
Okay.
So do they ask for indefinitely, or?
Yes.
That would not make the relationship with the city of Shawnee indefinite. It would just allow that corporation to exist indefinitely rather than have to be renewed in this case,
Right.
after a 50-year term.
Okay.
And you're not the only municipality that's been asked to agree to this. It's the membership group.
Yeah. And that would be staff's recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And again, to clarify, that does not mean that our relationship has to be sustained indefinitely. That's just
Correct.
the organization. Okay.
I make a motion, we approve staff's recommendation.
And I'll second.
I have to use that in flood. Thank you, Casey. All righty, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation on item 6 to approve, and we'll call the question. Oh,
Thank you, Lisa.
yep, I'm sorry. That was a little one.
It snuck in there.
I mean, it's so small.
A resolution to amend the agreement establishing Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group, Omag, to continue in perpetuity.
Okay, very good. Thank you for catching that. So now we will call the question. And motion passes 7-0. All righty, item 7 is discussion and consideration of resolution removing the temporary moratorium on the granting of new business permits and licenses requested under Chapter 8, Article 8, Medical Marijuana of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Shawnee, and Mr. Vondran is back up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Again, was very recent past, but we passed the moratorium with regard to City of Shawnee issuing additional licenses related to the medical marijuana industry. That was done so largely because of pending legislation at the state level that may have reduced density of licenses or restricted the number of licenses that would ultimately be issued by the state. And there was some confusion at the local level with regard to whether or not processing those would create a log jam potentially or create a situation that would be in violation of the state law. Additionally, if the commission will recall, because of that proposed legislation, there was an influx in applications, people trying to get under the deadline, so to speak, which was creating a burden on staff and made it very difficult for them to take care of other daily responsibilities outside of processing the medical marijuana applications. At this time, we've made it through session. It does not appear at this time that legislation will be heard again before next session, and no indication of any special sessions. And quite frankly, the staff time associated with processing those licenses, which has reduced greatly now that legislation is not imminent, is being eaten up answering questions about the moratorium. And so it is staff's recommendation to eliminate what is kind of a shotgun approach moratorium. It is our intention to bring back to you at the next meeting a much more narrowly tailored provision that addresses density concerns for your consideration. Whether that ultimately passes or not will obviously be up to you guys. But we're polling other similarly sized municipalities and looking at the science behind that to make a presentation for your consideration. But at this point in time, it does not seem effective to leave the broad approach on the book, so it is staff's recommendation that we repeal the moratorium.
Okay.
Any questions?
Question.
Yes, sir.
What numbers, I remember when we considered this, we had 19, was that the number that we had, and then like 19 pending?
I think it was 17 pending, but I think it's real close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that still kind of are those pending actually pending, or were those just trying to get under that deadline because of the possibility?
They were trying to get under that deadline, I think, for the most part. I couldn't speak to every one of them specifically. But just so that the commission is aware, the city went ahead and processed all of those applications because they were submitted prior to the moratorium. Since that time, Kevin, can you speak generally to the number of applications?
We actually still have those 17 because they are working through mechanical drawings, electrical drawings. It's not a quick, easy process when they do that. So they haven't got permitted yet. They're still trying to get it done at this time. But we still have the exact amount, 17.
Would you have an estimate as to how many people have inquired about applying but then didn't because of the moratorium?
We get phone calls all day long, 10 to 15 a day that are trying to apply.
And we have 19, is that right, that are currently active?
That is dispensaries, grows, and processors. That is correct. And we actually have created a map that you can look them up, see where they're at right now. We just haven't put it out there to the public yet.
Right.
So.
I know that I've also received calls on my personal phone from outside agencies and out-of-state folks saying that they're interested in coming to Shawnee and wanting to know what the what our plans were as far as lifting this and moving forward. And I told them that they, have to come in and talk to us. We couldn't just be, saying they'll just giving a broad statement over the phone like that over something like this. But in your opinion, when this is lifted, based on the number of calls that you're receiving, do you believe that this will just put you right back in the same spot you were before, where you're spending way more time than the fees and the licensing time? Is it? I'm just concerned that we'll get right back in the same spot we were based on the number of individuals that are really wanting this to be lifted.
We are looking at staffing issues right now with it because I'll be honest, I am your medical marijuana inspector. I'm the only one we have right now. My other one, he does residential and commercial. And then I handle the business side of our department. So at this time, we are looking at staffing another inspector here soon, hopefully. And I will move to your medical marijuana only because I'm also your commercial or your residential. I do it all. So right now I've decided it's easier for me just to be that guy and us find another inspector that can do the smaller things at this time. So I think we'll be able to stay up. It's just part of the process.
Right.
So.
And to speak to that further, Commissioner Flood, part of what we're doing is looking at doing a survey of fees associated with the various licensures and inspections that are required. As this area develops, as the state institutes additional regulations, and as inspectors become more seasoned in it, we're running into a lot of situations, and Kevin could speak to you all night about it, where the submissions are just not at a point where on first submission they can be accepted. And so Kevin's having to spend a lot of time working with people to address these life safety issues in order to get these businesses open. Everywhere in the industry, it appears, based on what we're looking at, the cost of entry is increasing. Whether that's licensure, whether that's equipment, whether that's contracting, whether that's professional services that are ancillary to the industry. And so it may behoove this commission to look at raising those fees to support an additional inspector. Again, within the constraints that we have, that they be rationally related to the actual cost associated with administering those tasks. So all of that will be brought back before this board.
I know that in conversations that I've had with local growers that are already established, there were some pretty significant struggles in understanding some of the fee schedules and some of the different licensure processes. And I think that that's not anything that necessarily is our fault as a municipality. It's more on the state level. There's some things that are just really difficult to understand, and I think that anything that you can do as you move forward as far as helping to those individuals that are doing it right and really working hard to make this be something that they can do. I greatly appreciate you helping those, because they're good folks that are trying to do this and working their tails off, and it's really hard whenever you think you're doing something right and then you come to find out that you're not very much. So, and just like I said, thank you for working on that and appreciate you helping out towards that. So,
and I will say, I'll brag on Kevin a little bit. He's excellent at doing that and helping them navigate what is a very difficult and ever-changing landscape.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I share potentially some of the same concern Commissioner Flood expressed. If we lift the moratorium tonight, come back on 7th of September, it's 22 days to file requests or applications. We could potentially, I don't know what we're looking at, because as far as the density requirements, do we know where we are right now in relationship to what we think density might be? Are we over what density would be, or we wouldn't have? And then I guess my second question would be, in order to avoid that potential for a backlog again and an influx, would it meet the constraints to defer this, repeal the moratorium at the next meeting, followed directly by the new density regulations?
I certainly anticipated, Commissioner, that might be the action that this board took, but we had the repeal language ready. What we did not have ready is this broader survey for a more narrowly tailored approach. And ultimately, this commission may choose not to take any approach at all, allow market forces to deal with it. But I think when we're looking at density, and Kevin can correct me if I'm wrong, we have a lot of applications presently for grow operations that are in what you would consider to be traditional or favored areas like industrial parks or industrial zoning. The density issues that we're running into seem to be major thoroughfares, whether that's Main Street, Harrison, or Kickapoo, where there's a significant number or clustering of dispensaries. However, that raises a lot of issues, as this commission is aware, as we've addressed this. Some of you have been here since the beginning, and wanting to develop this in such a way that we're very respectful to the community, but also to this industry that is finding its feet kind of in front of our eyes. And so that's why we've taken a very deliberate approach there, not to just shove something before this group, but make you aware that we believe that long-term the solution will be to have a more narrowly tailored approach, if any at all.
I appreciate your work on it, and Kevin, your work on it as well. Obviously, I'm of the belief the state has done municipalities no favors, and so you're operating in a difficult landscape. So appreciate your effort.
Any other questions?
When do you expect this the new resolution to
Sure.
make it back to us?
My intention is for my office to be circulating a draft amongst staff early next week, and then hopefully get something out for review by you guys end of next week, early the following, which I think would give a full week before the next commission meeting.
So, okay, I just want to make sure I was clear, because I thought I heard you say it was going to be the second meeting in September when you would have the new rules to us, or will it be the next meeting?
If I said that, I misspoke. We've set internal deadlines to try and have this on the next agenda following this meeting.
I just want to make sure I heard that right.
And it may require further vetting by this group at that
Sure.
time, but that
Absolutely.
will be our goal.
Okay. And that's all I can ask, is what your goal is, definitely. Any other questions? I want to make sure we've got them all asked.
I'm not real sure why we want to lift the moratorium if in 2 weeks we'll be having additional language. I think I'm a little confused now. So help line me out.
Sure. And Commissioner, I don't think that you're wrong to be in that posture. Probably as much as anything, we placed this on here to begin the conversation. There have been a lot of concerns about properly vetting decisions of this magnitude. And so this is language that we had ready to go because it is much less complicated than putting together what we're discussing. But we did want to spur this conversation, have these threshold comments made in a public forum so that it was available for comment to you guys as you worked through the process and as we came to produce a product to put in front of you for review and comment. And so, like I said, when Commissioner Matthews mentioned that, you know, we could defer it, I fully anticipated that might be the action that this board took. But it is staff's recommendation that we, if not tonight, at some point in the near future, repeal that. Additionally, we thought that it could, I mean, Kevin and I and Interim Manager Benson discussed the fact that you guys may not want to do anything else. You may just want to repeal it and allow the market to take care of itself. In which case this would be available to you sooner rather than later. So those were kind of the rationale, but I think all of those outcomes were anticipated.
Right, and that option would still be available. Let's say we did defer this tonight and we took both those on at the next meeting. I mean, we could pass one and not pass the other and just let the market deal with it at that point, I guess. That'd still be an option.
Absolutely, Mayor.
Yeah, so, I mean, with just 2 weeks, I mean, that might be a real good thing, is to just wait and deal with it all the same night.
It'll be 3 because how the calendar falls.
That's
I think
right.
Commissioner Matthews pointed that out.
Yep, 3 weeks. I think that one's a Tuesday night with the holiday, isn't it? Yeah. So that might be a good course of action.
I'll go ahead if nobody minds. I'll make a motion that we defer this item to a future meeting.
Okay. Bob, so the motion is to defer item 7 to a future meeting. And we have a motion and a second, so we will call the question. We don't need to read if we're deferring, Joe, is that right? Do we need to read that?
Correct.
Okay, very good. All righty, so we will vote. And motion passes 7-0 to defer that item to a future meeting. Okay, item 8, consider bids, resurface of West Independence and North Leo Street, Industrial Access Corridor Award, and Seth is up. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, how are you?
Doing great.
So this project should be familiar to the group at this point. It's been in front of you guys a couple of times. This is for, as the mayor said, the resurfacing of North Leo on the west side of town, directly adjacent to George Fisher. There you go, got the exhibit up there. We opened bids on this last time. If you recall, we only had one bid by Haskell Lemon. The base bid was for $459,002.85. The estimate prior to the bid was $334,996.19. After speaking with our designer and a couple of other contractors, and of course Haskell Lemon, staff does recommend awarding the base bid to Haskell Lemon. I know that we're over a little bit, but we have no reason to believe that re-advertising or rebidding the project would meaningfully lower the cost of the project. This will, of course, result in a budget amendment, and I'll let Jacob speak to that thunder a little bit in the next agenda item, but staff does believe that we have the funds to support the project. So just as a reminder, speaking to that, we'll be reimbursed up to $300,000 on the project. So although we're over the original intended budget, at the end of the day, we're still getting a pretty good bang for our buck as far as the investment for infrastructure. So with that, I would open it up to any questions you guys have.
So I'm guessing from the conversations that you had that people told you that probably the bids had come in right about what you.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, I think we swung and missed a little bit on the engineer's estimate. I mean, there's a little bit of, it's kind of a fine art, right, where there's historical price data that you have to pull from, and we're kind of not in a historical moment of this kind of unprecedented on material costs and labor costs. And I mean, the main items that we were over on were labor and material. So that's where we're at.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? Someone make a motion.
I will make a move to accept the bid.
Alrighty.
Haskell Lemons.
No, second.
Mark and Travis. Very good. So we have a motion and a second to approve item 8. So we will call the question. And motion passes 7-0. Item 9, consideration of budget amendment for Fund 302, Street Improvement Fund, to fund Industrial Access Corridor Project. And Jacob's up. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you. Yes, as Seth mentioned, just a budget increase to accommodate that bid.
Ready? Very good. Any questions for Jacob?
Move to approve the budget.
Thank you, sir. We have a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. All righty, we have a motion and a second to approve item 9. We will call the question. Something. Uh-oh. There we go. All righty, motion passes 7-0. She's just a little quicker than you are. Okay, item 10 is acknowledge monthly sales tax and budget reports, and Jacob's up again.
Sales tax remained stable this last month, and from this month last year, August 2020, we came in slightly above what we were there. From the prior month, last month, we came in just below, so it's remained rather stable for sales tax.
All righty. How are we doing for the year? I mean, the year's short, obviously, so we're probably...
Yeah, pretty, as far as our projections go, we're well above what we projected to come in, but for the year, we're doing well.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for Jacob while we got it? And all these numbers are available online?
Correct, yeah. They're attached to the agenda.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
sir.
just want to make sure everybody out there knows that they have access to them, so.
As far as the expenses go, our largest fund, the general fund, is remaining within budget, as well as most of the other funds. All of the other funds.
Very good. Anybody got any other questions, or we'll let Jacob go? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Keep bringing good news. All righty, we have item 11, which is an administrative report. Kevin Moore, building inspector, has got an update for us. Thank you,
I
sir.
provided you guys with a map. Since January of 2020 to now, staff has been working hard to clean up all the dilapidated structures. And we figured give you a map so you can see what we have been doing. Since then, we've demoed 28 homes, the city has. 8 owners did it on their own. We did have 3 remodels pulled, and at this time, they haven't completed the work. We actually have 32 right now that we are going to bring to a hearing. We normally take 4 to 5 every month to a hearing. That process takes, as soon as we do the hearing, it's 10 days to wait for it to appeal. If they appeal, they come to you, and then we wait on your decision. That's normally a 30-day process. So we are working at it. It just takes a little time to get them down. We do have 3 that are on hold waiting on attorneys, and 1 that the county owns. Any questions?
Did you have a photo of those locations?
That is the car wash right now.
But did you have some photos of the locations that currently work?
We did not add them to the staff report because there are so many of them at this time. We do have 77 are on the list that we've been working on for the past year and a half. And that was the most recent one that we just pulled, the car wash that you guys made the decision on.
Kevin, there's several that are very obvious that I don't see on here. I don't want to say the locations right now. I'll ask you about them.
Yeah.
But there's some that are pretty obvious that have been a long, long time and very visible to the public.
Yep.
Any reason that they wouldn't even be listed on here?
I can tell you one that's pretty close to this building was appealed a while back, about a year ago, and the director at the time gave them time to remodel it. They did not remodel it. I brought them to a hearing Thursday last week, and they are going to appeal it and come to you guys now. But we are working on that structure. We've given them enough time. It has not had anything done to it, 2 of them, that one and one down Broadway. And so I did take them to the hearing, and I abated the property, and I've ordered them to be demoed.
To answer your question, Commissioner, you're absolutely right. We have an aberrant number of such buildings in the city, and there's a renewed emphasis on identifying and pursuing demolition if that's the proper course given the protocols that we'll observe. Yes, there's going to be a new focus on that.
Okay, thank you.
I think we've increased our budget considerably. I know it's like 5 times higher than it was just 3 years ago when I came on.
It's very clear the council's intent, and we intend to execute it.
If you see on the spreadsheet why we waited till July of last year, that's when our budget was upped. Before that, we didn't have much of a budget to work with, and then once it was upped, we went after them.
Very good. Any other questions, comments? Thank you very much, Kevin.
Thank you.
All righty. Item 12 is discussion and consideration of a resolution of the mayor.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, whoa. I'm sorry.
We have another starter.
We have another. Yes, we do. Seth is coming. Sorry, Seth. Holler at me. Throw something at me.
Yeah. Ryan, if you don't mind, go ahead and throw him on that.
you
He'll
go.
get there. So before I start, I just wanted to preface my presentation by saying that this is really an update of more than just my office. It kind of if you want to think of it as a planning, inspection, engineering update, think of it as a city hall annex update if you'd like. I just want to mention that because there's several people beyond me who work to make all that's going on possible. So, and also I took the liberty of assuming that you wouldn't be able to see the projector screen, so you should have a packet to follow along with. I hope that helps.
That's a very safe assumption.
Yeah. So this kind of started out as a way of getting the city manager up to date when Mr. Benson came on board. So, and with that, he indicated that he thought it'd be worthwhile to update you all, and I agreed. So with that, the first slide is just the overall view of the city, north arrow being to the right of the page. And this is really just an overall summary for you to see the scope of the amount of work we have going on in the city. This is a summary of the new commercial and capital projects that we have. So this isn't remodels or residential projects. This is just new construction and of commercial and capital projects that we have going on in town. Red indicating construction and blue indicates the project's either in design or in permit for review. So in total, we have 28 commercial projects, either in construction or in permitting, and another 13 capital projects that were either in construction and or design. Oh, there we go. So moving on to the second slide. This is the north side of the city. This blow up kind of captures the north part of the city, really everything I-40 north, and there is a handful of projects there, notably Joe Cooper, the new Dodge dealership, just finished up in the last couple of months, so it'll be coming off the list of active projects, but I included it in the update just because it's so new. Wolverine Industrial Park, this is the replat that you guys are probably familiar with. You approved it a couple months back, and this is the reconstruction, if you will, of the old Keanu fracking facility. So the utilities are starting to get underway there, water and sewer, as they replat that facility. Shawnee Retail Development, that's at the intersection of I-40 and Harrison, northwest corner. So the plans are approved on this job, and they're cleared to start the utility construction. That's just for another commercial subdivision there. Moving on to slide 3, which is basically the central part of the city, and this is where really the bulk of the projects are. As you can see, there's no shortage of construction going on in the city. Notably, in this area, we have 45th Street. So this is going to be one of our larger capital projects. We've received the engineering report, the hydraulic report, and the concept plans for 45th Street. So moving forward from here in the next month and a half, you'll see we're going to put together a presentation that we'll make public on the website and social media and probably to you guys here that has renderings and outlines kind of what we see going in at 45th Street. You'll be able to see 2D, 3D graphics of what it'll look like when it's finished. And then after that, we're going to open up to get some public involvement. So we'll have an email address that will allow the public to give feedback on what they don't like, would like to see in addition to, etc. And we'll have a window of, it's kind of to be determined at this point, but 2 or 3 weeks for them to provide feedback to us at the email address that we can then compile. So that'll be happening over the next month, and then we'll be moving to final design on the first phase of 45th Street. So with that on the same slide, talk about the sidewalk projects for a minute. So Kickapoo, Independence, and Highland Street. Highland's not visible yet, but it will be on the next slide. We've received 90% plans on those projects. So what that means basically 90% is we have a full construction document set. The design is pretty much finished. However, we haven't acquired the right-of-way necessary or the temporary construction easement or the all the land issues to make the project happen. So we say 90% so we can go in and revise the drawings as we need to as we're negotiating with landowners, etc. So that's for all 3 of those projects. I grouped those 3 projects together. If you'll remember, they're the 3 that we have an agreement with Avitas for some of the funding on those projects. So that's why I grouped those 3 together. Okay. Next project is Macarthur Street. So that one is often grouped in with the sidewalks, but it's actually a different funding source. It's an ODOT TAP grant. And so since that's an ODOT project, it's moving a little bit slower in our timeline. It's been around for a little bit longer, but it's also at the 90% phase, and we're also moving into right-of-way acquisition on that. The police department is also on there, so I know we're coming to an end of the project, still have some exterior site work, some finishing touches, and I know the PD is excited to get into that new space. And then the 2 sewer projects that you guys approved, I think maybe 2 meetings ago. These are actively in design, hope to get moving as soon as possible. Survey should be either ongoing or complete. So moving on to the next one, which is really the southern part of the city. It has some overlap with the last slide just for context for you guys, but this is where really the bulk of our infrastructure investments go in with the 2 treatment plants. So the water treatment plant has gotten started. Construction started at the beginning of August on that, on about a 2-year timeline for construction for the water treatment plant, and then wastewater treatment plant upgrade is tracking, so we're still in design, tracking to bid sometime in the first quarter of 2022. Leo Street, so obviously that was awarded earlier tonight. We'll progress on to construction that later in the year, and I expect it to be complete before the end of the year. There on this slide you see the Highland Street sidewalk that I mentioned a minute ago. And then Whitaker Street, currently under construction. We're about a month into a 3 or 4 month project near Horace Mann. So I know there's some construction delays there, and it's a little bit of a nightmare picking the kiddos up from Horace Mann right now, but it's kind of a cost of doing business on construction on that one. So we're trying to mitigate it the best we can. Kidspace Park. So I'll kind of group the 3 park projects together. Kidspace, Woodland Park, and then at Woodland, we have the aquatics renovation. All 3 of those projects are currently in design. They have 65% plans coming in either the 4th quarter of this year or the 1st quarter of next year. And so we'll be progressing on those as fast as we can.
Seth, the
Yes, sir.
distinction between 65 and 90%, would you explain?
Yeah. So 90%, I said basically the plans were done, and we were just working through some final details. 65% is basically the 2-dimensionally the plans are done. So we have everything laid out, we know where everything's going, but we don't necessarily have the vertical figured out. So we still have some grading issues we need to figure out. We need to figure out some utility conflicts. So
some of the finer details of the plans aren't put together, but for the most part, we know what we're getting for our money. So that's kind of where we're at on 65%, and we plan on getting that at the end of this year and early next year. Moving on, Main Street Bridge replacement, we just received 60% plans, so to Mr. Benson's point on that, we basically have the layout. There's still some fine details that need to be worked on that, out on that, but looking at the schedule on this one, there's some pretty big unknowns. So we have permitting with the Corps on it. We have permitting with the railroad as we have the work going on in the railroad right away. So we're hoping to move to bid on it probably the fourth quarter of 22. But in reality, there's still some pretty big unknowns there. So that we're just going as fast as we can, and we'll kind of keep you up to date as we move forward on that project. And then last but not least, we have the Kickapoo Street widening from Spur to Farrell. If you've paid attention, especially today, you've probably noticed the ongoing utility relocation we have going on in that corridor. With all the ongoing relocations, the impact on traffic in that area will probably grow as we go move forward from here. It being an ODOT project, it won't be bid until all of the utility relocations are out of the way. So bidding on that one is really looking at third or fourth quarter of 22. That's how long ONG is anticipated to take to get all of their lines out of the way for us to move forward. So give you an idea on that. And then slide 5. This is kind of the catch-all slide that kind of includes multiple departments, and that's kind of what I spoke to when I talked earlier. But I personally thought it was impressive because just for the most part, effort on this stuff is Kevin and Kenny in inspections. But we have 68 active remodel permits, 16 add-on residential permits, and the number that caught my eye was we currently have 100 active new residential permits in construction, 29 active commercial remodels, 3 commercial add-ons, and 14 ongoing land use applications. So that's all your plats, zonings, changes, variants, conditional use permits, etc. So I know that I spoke for a little bit, but I really just scratched the surface on a couple of those projects and didn't get into too much detail on any one. So, but I think our intent was to just kind of quantify the amount of development we have going on currently in town. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to take a shot at it, but with multiple departments involved, I know I might have to get an answer and bring it back to you next time, but I'd be happy to do that. So,
Gentlemen.
Question.
Yes, sir.
On the second page, what is HTEO on Kickapoo and OKCOMS?
so OKCOMS is a dental office that was actually just recently completed. They're open, right? So it's a dental office that just opened up here in the last couple of months where construction was finished. HTO is a project that we've approved in engineering but haven't yet approved the architectural plans. Is that correct? Haven't currently approved architectural plans. It's a sweet tea place.
Yeah.
Is the only way I can. A sweet tea place is the only way I can. So they sell tea and ice chests, I believe. And it's going to be a drive-through.
Next to the pizza.
Next to the Pizza Hut, right?
Pizza Hut. There's some activity there.
Oh, okay.
I've been wondering about that too, and you and I
Right.
drove something out the other day, and
yes, sir.
That's when I learned that.
Yeah.
That's really neat.
Thank you.
I think this is probably planning, but I was reminded of it, so you can holler at them for me.
Okay.
I remember back to my very first meeting on the planning commission, we had a issue and we talked about the interstate, and this came through the Board of Adjustments, so if you could just inquire, our intent as a city when we look at our coding has been to have a nice presentation along I-40. And so we're allowed to have signs of a certain height. But what we end up doing, and this is what Joe Cooper ended up at the Board of Adjustments for, Joe Cooper sits below Walmart. So we didn't take topography into it. So I'd like us to look at doing a ceiling over the interstate rather than a height of the sign. Because we maintain that look that we want, but we don't disadvantage certain businesses by being lower in topography.
That's fair. I'd bring it up to planning.
Yeah. The short time that I was on the Board of Adjustment, we had that very same issue come
Yeah,
up.
because if we have, I don't know if it's 30 or 40 feet, whatever the limit is, but your property's 35 feet lower.
It's 40 feet.
Okay.
Next to the highway, you're allowed 40. If you're not within a quarter mile of the highway, it's 20 feet.
Sure.
So we would have to update our sign codes is where we're at with that.
Yeah, and I think I'm interested in that. I mean, we saw it just come through the zoning board of adjustments. Because I think we would still maintain our goal of having a nice presentation along I-40. We wouldn't penalize businesses based on the topography of their property.
And to speak to that a little bit, I know we've talked at least initially on redoing our subdivision regulations, and as part of that, the sign code and zoning code would come into that effect. So we've kind of already started the process of redoing the code that affects what you're talking about. So we should just keep that in mind as we implement that going forward.
Very good. I appreciate the update. I mean, this, I think, really gives people a good idea of, what's going on in town, so thank you very much. All righty. Now we are to item 12. Discussion and consideration of a resolution of the mayor and city commission of the city of Shawnee, Oklahoma, establishing the Lake Advisory Committee pursuant to Chapter 2, Section 35 of the Shawnee Code of Ordinances. And Mr. Vondran is up again. Busy night for you.
It is. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. I'll be very brief here. I think the resolution speaks for itself, and obviously there was much discussion with regard to this topic in previous meetings. Just to hit the high points, if adopted as written, this would limit the membership of the committee to no more than 12 persons, reserving 2 spots for sitting city commissioners, 1 spot for the city attorney. The scope of the committee would be to review all existing lake ordinances contained within the appropriate article of the Code of Ordinances, and also address and tackle the issue that of commercial development in and around the lake. Right. Excuse me. The initial time frame for the committee is a time period of 90 days, at which point there's a requirement to bring recommendations and report back to the commission as a whole. There is a provision in there that allows the city commission to extend the term if that is needed, but as written, it would expire in 90 days. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions?
I don't have a question. I'd just like to thank you, Mayor, for putting this on the agenda. It's important and
I'm happy to do it.
That we've asked for and people have asked for, and just appreciate your willingness to put it on the agenda.
Absolutely. Any other questions? Oh, we good, Joe. All righty. So, how about a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution.
No, second.
Weaver and Flood. We have a motion and a second, so Joe, you're up again.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A resolution of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of Shawnee, Oklahoma, establishing the Lake Advisory Committee pursuant to Chapter 2, Section 35 of the Shawnee Code of Ordinances.
Thank you, sir. All righty, we have a motion and a second to approve item 12. We'll call the question. And motion passes 7-0. All righty. Item 13, discussion and possible action to appoint a Shawnee Lake Advisory Committee to assist in the revisions to the lake ordinances. So that was deferred from July 19, 2021, and I will handle this one since it's a mayor's appointment, and you guys will vote here in a minute on whether we approve these folks or not. So I have a list. Get to that. All righty. So these are the folks that I would like to have serve on that committee, and I have discussed this with them, make sure that they would be willing to serve, and they've all assured me that they would. So I'll start with Mr. Weaver. So we'd like you to serve on that, and I know you've expressed interest, so I'm pretty confident that you'll agree. Mr. Frank Sims has agreed to serve. Wolf Googler has agreed to serve. Stacy Kramer Moore, who is our tourism director, has agreed to serve. Michael Canaday, who is a Shawnee resident and active at the lake, he has agreed to serve. Ms. Kelly Parsons, who's also very active at the lake and a business owner in town, she has agreed to serve. Mindy Palmer, who is a PR person up at our mall and very, very active in the community and at the lake, she has told me that she would serve for us. Ms. Cammie Ingalls, who is a business owner, entrepreneur here in town and very active in town, has agreed to serve on this committee for us. Mr. Steve Reese, who's a realtor in town, been here for many years, and he has told me that he would agree to serve. Commissioner Seahorn has expressed interest in serving, and so I'll ask him if he would do that. Rachel Klein, who is our planner, has agreed to serve, and I think it'd be important that she be on there. And then Mr. Vondern as our city attorney. So I don't know if, Joe, you were able to write fast enough.
I think I was, Mr. Mayor.
All righty. So those are the 12 folks that I bring to you to do that. I think it's a good group of folks, and I think they will serve us well.
Mr. Mayor, what was the first name you said?
Bob Weaver.
Well, second.
Frank Sims. Frank Sims. Yeah.
I thought so.
Yes, sir. So Lake resident and former city commissioner. I thought for sure you'd know the first one.
I'm sorry?
I said I thought for sure you'd know the first one.
Well, we were talking when you said that.
There you go. It caught you.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
All righty. So those are the 12 folks. So I guess what we need is a motion on those 12.
So by virtue of the formation of this committee, there's mayoral appointments, but it does require ratification from the commission at large. So just as a recap, the mayor's proposed a slate of Commissioner Weaver, Frank Sims, Wolf Googler, Stacy Kramer Moore, Michael Canaday, Kelly Parsons, Mindy Palmer, Cammie Ingalls, Steve Reese, Commissioner Seahorn, Rachel Klein, and myself as city attorney. That would be what you're ratifying.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, do you expect that group to select the chairman?
Well, we haven't even discussed that, but I would expect that they would. Is there some advisement from council on how we should handle that?
I think absent direction at this point in time,
Mhm.
which you would certainly have the ability to make, Mr. Mayor, then it would be up to that group to devise how they will conduct leadership.
Sure.
In order to meet the objectives set forth, namely those recommendations within 90 days. I will tell you that the last time a Lake Advisory Committee was formed, the chairman was the city planner at the time,
Okay.
who also initiated the idea to form the committee.
Right.
Or at least, as my understanding, he with potentially another commissioner made that choice. So there's certainly, that would be the precedent at this point.
Right. I mean, and I think that kind of makes sense that we have planning involved in that and run the meeting. I mean, I think that would be perfectly acceptable.
And again, it's not required. I mean, if
yeah.
Commissioner Weaver wanted to chair that, that would be acceptable. If you wanted to leave it to the group of 12 to determine that, that would be fine as well.
Mr. Mayor, another option would be the city attorney.
That's true, but you notice he didn't volunteer himself.
That's why I spoke up.
Yeah.
You did notice that, but I would be honored to serve in that role if so chosen.
Well, and I mean, in some ways, I think that makes a lot of sense too, because there'll be a lot of legal issues involved. And we'd want to make sure that everything was being done properly. So I think that's a pretty good idea, personally. But
Do we need a motion to approve his appointments with the chair also, or is that his decision and then we approve?
Technically, it'd be the mayor's decision.
well,
If he-
then there we go. Make it easy enough. I'll name you then.
All right.
There you go.
So it would be the present slate with myself as chairman, would be what is seeking ratification.
I move to approve.
And I'll second.
All righty. So, Ford
Everybody up there.
and Flood. So we have item 13, we have a motion and a second. Oh, I'm sorry.
He has email addresses, right?
Good. Oh, okay. Okay, so to approve item 13, which would be the slate of the 12 folks that we read, with Mr. Vondran serving as chair. So with that, we will call the question. And that, let's see, is approved 6-4 and 1 abstention. So we look forward to hearing back from you guys. Item 14 is new business.
I have nothing to add, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Next is commissioners' comments. So where did we start last time, Daniel? Remember? Down that way? We'll pick on Benny first then.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate you appointing the committee for the lake. It's been on our agenda several times over the last few months, and this will help to get a lot of the citizens' feelings taken care of. And Kevin and Seth, really appreciate your presentations. It really enlightened me, and you've done a lot of good work on it.
I want to reiterate, Kevin and Seth, I mean, they're kind of overloaded. Definitely need some more personnel to deal with everything you have got going on. It's pretty mind-boggling to see how many projects are actually active, and you guys are, knee-deep in trying to get everything done in a timely manner. The lake, I think, is something that's been ongoing for a long time, and so hopefully this will kind of bring it to the forefront, and we can kind of get it behind us over the next 90 days anyway, and move forward.
I want to thank you guys again. It's neat to see all of the things all laid out, that there's this much going on at one time, and you guys are doing a great job keeping that moving forward, and it's great information to have, so appreciate that very much. Glad to get the Lake Committee going. Mayor, thank you. That's a good group of folks you have on there, so that's some good progress. I hate to make my next announcement, but I'm going to have to. Cops and Kids that was scheduled for the 28th, we are postponing that event to a future date. Don't know when that will be, but just wanted to make that announcement that no Cops and Kids this month.
Thank you again, staff, for your hard work and the intentionality that is put into this report. It does help us all to see the many amazing things that are active and the things on the horizon. Thank you for both being willing to spend some time explaining some of the issues and walking through some of the questions that we often have. I know that it's very difficult to keep track of all of the moving parts, and that when you have multiple things, that one domino can start a domino rolling down the hill that often we don't even realize, and that how when we see things that look like there's nothing actually going on, but after having conversations with Seth and some of the staff, there's some of that is stuff going on underground that you can't even see, even if it was, and so that there are so many things that get caught up and get delayed and get lost in the mix, but knowing that they're actively on the phone, reaching out to other entities that are supposed to be doing things and keeping tabs on them really assures me that we're moving forward as quick as we can, and we don't want to miss anything, and we want to make sure that we're doing our absolute very best on all of these projects. Thank you all for working very hard and doing what you do. Again, I'm happy to see the Lake Advisory Committee. I hope that really can be a group of individuals that drill down on some of these big topics and very important things for our city and for our not only for the residents of the lake, but for everybody that uses and enjoys that lake. And I know that's a fantastic group of individuals that will work very hard to make a good recommendation for us. The last, the KSNL organization, I wish they were still here. I appreciated them coming back and saying that the individuals that work there, and I think that anything that we do, it's good to hear both sides of those situations, and I truly do, much like most of us, I believe on this council, want the absolute very best for each and every one of our business owners and for everything from our airport to the waste department to everything. And so I hope that they are intentional, and I use that word a lot, but they're intentional about looking through the things that they need to move forward, and if they believe that they can do the things that the city asks them, that they will try and reapply with the things that they need to move that forward, if that's something that they want to do. And so, but then also just thankful that we are a council that does not just take everything at face value and say, cool, that's a great idea, that we ask them to have a higher standard and things that we know are going to make our city better. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Weaver?
Speaking on the lake, I would think that it's going to be real important for us to have that consultant lake study that's been done about a year ago. So I know once we get to discussing this, that would be really, really helpful. Appreciated you bringing that up, but that's something that I've been anxious to see. And since it's been about a year, and since you're on the committee with us, Stacey, I would hope that we can get that and get that out to everybody. That would be real helpful. And I just want to brag on a new facility. SCI Warehouse has turned out, I hope all of you that have seen it, it is wonderful. It started out, I was a little disappointed. It was a lot that I think the city sold to SCI. It's corner of 10th and Kickapoo. And started with a big metal building, and of course my immediate thought was, oh, another metal building. But I tell you what they have done. If you haven't seen it, it's a tremendous showing of effort of just putting in certainly more money, but they've got the landscaping and the irrigation, and it's going to be a showplace. And I'm really proud of SCI in our community, and just wanted to give a shout out to them. And I'm kind of one of those that I call in a lot of tall weeds and dilapidated structures, and I really believe in trying to clean up this town. And some people think that's overreach. There's the reason I asked about some facilities. I have citizens that ask me all the time, why is this not being taken care of? And the best thing I can do is hear from staff and get an understanding of what's out there. And so it's really helpful to know what projects are going on. I also like to drive around, and I saw the area right next to Pizza Hut as well, and I think, well, what is that? But I don't want to pick up the phone and bother you guys, so I appreciate this, and appreciate the interim city manager who has said, if we've got questions, call him and he'll get us the answers. So all in all, I just want to say to the businesses out there that do take care of their properties, that take the dead stuff out and plant back, and actually pick up trash and do the things. Thank you. For those of you those that don't, please care a little bit more about our community, because we care, and our staff can't take care of it all on its own. Just a little bit of pride within our business owners and citizens would help us tremendously. And appreciate Mayor, us on the Lake Advisory Committee, and I hope this committee comes together and can really work on some good recommendations that will be beneficial to everybody. Thank you, sir.
First want to mention the public transit project. Appreciate the mayor and his leadership. We got to go around Friday and look at a proposed route and the possibility of speeding some of that up, and what a wonderful opportunity that's going to be for so many in our community. And then speaking of another way of transit, but all the sidewalk projects, Seth, that you spoke of, I just want to reframe those just quickly, because they are great for recreation, and that's how we hear them talked about 90% of the time. But for me, I work in a community. I work in a population of people that need opportunity, and many of that is a way to work. And so while sidewalks are great for recreation, for many this is going to mean a safe way to work and possible new job opportunities, because they can get there safely. And so just a great opportunity. Kevin, Seth, I really appreciate your reports tonight. Jacob, appreciate all you're doing in the finance, with the finance team. I really appreciate all that. I was surprised maybe a little bit. I echo a little bit of what everybody's talking about, but how difficult for me the vote on the dilapidated structures was. That's something we have to do. But I would also just stress that every vote we take on that is people's property too, and we should really take. I appreciate that staff does a very good job of humanizing the situation, trying to work with those property owners, and it's tough because we heard it at 2 meetings ago. That car wash was somebody's hopes and dreams, and I think while it's really, really necessary, and we're probably behind the curve on what we need to do on it, it was harder than I expected because there's a human side to that decision. And I do want to maybe take a different approach. I want to thank Commissioner Weaver, because he agreed to withdraw his motion 2 meetings ago on the Lake Advisory Committee when some of us were maybe trying to wrestle with some issues. And by you doing that, it allowed us to move forward really as a group, and this not to be a divisive issue, but to, I think we found solutions. I found answers to the questions I had, and I appreciate you doing that. I think that's the spirit we all want up here. And so thank the mayor for bringing it forward. Thank you for deferring that last time. I was excited to talk to Wolf today and say, hey, I'm excited to vote yes tonight. And he was excited to hear that. So, but anyway, just want to acknowledge that you did do that last time. Also, just finally to Mr. Benson, I'd like to have some conversation with all the ARPA money. Maybe you can figure out the best way to facilitate this with the ARPA money rolling around, and now the infrastructure bill that passed the Senate. I want to make sure Shawnee has a seat at the table as that money. I don't want us to miss out on opportunities, because we do want to do all that we can, and so perhaps we could facilitate some conversations and thoughts from your office, from some of us, on the best way to move forward to make sure that we have a seat at that table.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a rare opportunity that that kind of money is being passed out. So we definitely need to take advantage of that. I've not got a whole lot because you guys have covered so much. I really appreciate the updates from staff. I mean, I think a lot of these projects, it's kind of, we talk about it and then we don't talk about it for a while, and it kind of falls off everybody's radar and they don't think that's going on, but it really is. And I really appreciate us getting people, kind of back up to speed on what is going on around town. There's a lot going on, and you guys have got a lot to wrestle with, and we really appreciate it. And this is very, very helpful. So thank you very much for that. I'm happy that we're able to get the Lake Committee at least named and get them put to work. Just because something is not on a particular agenda does not mean that we're not thinking about it and we're not working on it. And we told you that we would get this to you quickly, and here it is. I mean, it took us 2 meetings, rather than just one. But I was glad to get that started tonight. I think we've got good people that have been named to that, and I think they will do a very, very good job for us. They all want the lake, Shawnee as a whole, to succeed. So, I mean, it's important for all of us. So I think they will do a very, very good job with that. I am really sorry that Cops and Kids had to be delayed. I mean, I know that was a tough decision, and, you know, I respect them for doing that, and hopefully we'll be able to put that on soon. That's a great event. I love that our cops get to go out there and see all the cool stuff that our cops do and get to know them as people, and I just think that's an amazing event, and I can't wait for that to happen. But I certainly understand, you know, why the decision was made. So with that, we will adjourn and we will move on to the Airport Authority. So item 1 there is the consent agenda. So
Move to approve.
thank you, sir. We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion and a second to approve item 1. Call the question. And that passes 6-2 with 1 abstention, 6-4, 1 abstention. Item 2, any new business?
Nothing to add, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. We are adjourned and we'll move on to the Municipal Authority. So item 1 is consider approval of the consent agenda.
I move that we approve.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Flood.
Second.
Thank you very much. So, Mr. Flood, Mr. Weaver, our motion and second, we will call the question. And that passes 6-4 with 1 abstention. Any new business?
Nothing to add, Mr. Mayor.
All righty, we are adjourned. Let's go home. Thank you so much for coming in tonight.